The functions related to the markers labels are found in this panel. In this example, I've written an A major scale, and if I want to display the note names or the degree numbers inside the markers, I can use the icons from the notation panel to display them automatically. I just need to click on Show Note Names, whose symbol is a marker with an A inside, and the note names will appear in all markers of the document. I can also display the degree numbers. For this, I will need to set a root node first, from which all the other degrees will be computed. To switch off all labels, I can use the empty marker icon. These controls are duplicated on the fretboard toolbars to let me have different styles for every fretboard. For instance, now that I duplicated this major scale, I can display the note names on the first one and the intervals on the second one. Using the icons in the notation panel instead will affect the entire document. Besides these three icons, we have several other buttons in this panel. Let's see what they do. In the Notation Options row, the first icon allows me to switch on and off the text on the frets I didn't select. The second icon lets me choose between the solfège notation, Do, Re, Mi, and international notation, C, D, E. Before looking at the two other icons with the flat and the sharp symbol, let's have a look at the first four rows of buttons. They are two sets of drop-down menus arranged like small keyboards. They let me affect the content of the generated labels. For example, in this case, since this is an A major scale, it would be more appropriate to keep the diatonic names sequence A, B, C, D, E, F, G and display C sharp instead of D flat, F sharp instead of G flat and G sharp instead of A flat. So I can click on the D flat in the notation panel and I can select the C sharp option, and I'll do the same with all the other accidentals. This way my scale will be displayed correctly, as well as everything I'll write on this fretboard in this key. The other set of drop-down menus just above lets me do the same thing with the degree numbers. In this case they are correct, since they are simply 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But if I change the second fretboard into a Lydian scale, it would be appropriate to display the D sharp as a sharp 4 instead of a flat 5. So I can go into the menu and select sharp 4. From this panel I can also modify the name of the root and display the R instead of the number 1 when I use the notation view. Let's have a look now at the last two icons we left aside before. These are used when the global settings aren't enough to make everything right. If I add a third fretboard to the document with an A Locrian scale, in this case the same D sharp needs to be displayed as flat 5. The problem is that if I change this setting, the document will display the Locrian scale correctly, but our Lydian scale is back to using the flat 5 instead of the sharp 4. This is when I'll need these two last functions. They will force the sharp or flat notation on an individual fret, regardless of the global setting. This function affects both note names and interval numbers. If, for instance, I show the names of the notes in the Locrian scale, I will again have this issue where the names are theoretically wrong. They are displayed this way because of my A major settings, but I can use the force flat function to quickly address the issue. The last element in the notation panel is the custom text field. This allows me to write anything inside a label. I just have to write into this field and then place the marker. That will contain my text. To go back to placing normal markers, I have to delete the content of this field. The custom text is always shown with priority over the automatic labels, regardless of any other settings I make for the automatic notation.